Good morning. At the outset, I want to tell you that these are my personal legal views. I am not a spokesman for the Adani Group. I am a lawyer. I have been appearing for Adani Group in several cases. So I have gone through this indictment by the US court running into some 54 pages. My assessment is, and it is clear, that there are 5 charges or 5 counts. It is very important to note that count 1 and count 5 are more important than the others, but in neither in count 1 nor in count 5 is Mr. Adani or his nephew charged. This is like a charge sheet. It charges individuals for doing specific acts. It is like a charge sheet under the Indian penal laws, that you charge somebody with a particular act, whether it is bribery, whether it is corruption, whether it is robbery, whether it is murder. So count number 1, contained in paras 124 onwards of the indictment, is against certain other persons minus the 2 Adanis. It includes some of their officers and 1 foreign person. That is the conspiracy to violate the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. It is called FCPA. It is somewhat similar to the Prevention of Corruption Act in India. So the first allegation is that there is a conspiracy to violate the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act framed by the US Parliament. In that, the Adanis are not named, their officers may be named. That's 1. Then there are 2 or 3 other counts relating to securities and bonds. In those 3 counts, the Adanis and others are named. In the last count, which is a very important count, is a count relating to obstruction of justice. In that count, namely count number 5, the Adanis are not named, but their officers are named. So it is, maybe I made a mistake in count number 5. I made a mistake. In count number 5, obstruction of justice, the Adanis are not named, their officers are not named, but certain other people are named, including a foreign party. But be that as it may, the Adanis and others will respond to this charge sheet in the manner that they desire. I have not seen their responses. They will also respond to the stock exchanges in the manner that they desire. I have not seen or vetted any of these exchanges. These are my personal views which I have mentioned after having a look at this charge sheet. In the end, I would like to say something which has been troubling me, that when you look at a charge sheet, you have to be specific to say that so and so has done such and such act, so and so has bribed certain individuals. Because this is a charge sheet alleging that these people, including Adanis, have bribed Indian officials in Indian entities relating to supply and purchase of power. But I do not find a single name or a single detail in the charge sheet as to who has been bribed, in what manner has he been bribed, and the official belongs to such and such department, this charge sheet is completely silent. I don't know how one can respond to these kind of charge sheets, but I'm sure the Adanis will take legal opinion, including from American lawyers, etc. One more thing I may add, I think I made a mistake. It is correct that in count 1 and count 5, the Adanis are not named, but several other persons are named. Whether they are connected with Mr. Adani or not, they will respond. But I just wanted to clear the air that the Adanis are not named in count 1, violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practice Act, or count 5, relating to obstruction of justice. Because I saw in the media that as if they have been named or charged in these two counts also. That is what I wanted to say. ये मैंने इंडाइटमेंट पढ़ा, ये चार्जशीट की तौर से है. इसमें 5 चार्जेस हैं. पहला चार्ज और 5वां चार्ज इम्पोर्टेंट है. पहला चार्ज है कि अमेरिका का कानून, जो करप्शन का कानून है, करप्शन विदेश का कानून, अमेरिका में नहीं बाहर, उस चार्ज में कई लोगों का नाम है, लेकिन ना अडानी का नाम है ना उनके नेफ्यू का नाम है. चार्ज नंबर 5 में जो चार्ज है कि न्याय के रास्ते में बाधा डालना, ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन ऑफ जस्टिस, जो एक सीरियस ऑफेंस हो सकता है, उसमें भी ना मिस्टर अडानी का नाम है ना उनके भांजे का नाम है. ये मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ कि मेरी अपनी राय है, ये पढ़ने के बाद, और ये क्लियर करने के लिए, क्योंकि मीडिया में मैंने देखा कि ये छप रहा है कि अडानीज के खिलाफ दोनों चार्ज हैं, न्याय के रास्ते में बाधा डालना और करप्शन का चार्ज जो पहला काउंट है वो नहीं है. ये मेरी पर्सनल राय है. अडानी ग्रुप क्या इसका जवाब देगा वो अपने लीगल सलाहकारों से करेगा जो अमेरिका में होंगे, या क्या टिप्पणी अडानी ग्रुप करेगा वो उसकी मर्जी है. ये मेरी पर्सनल राय है और ना इसमें अडानी का कुछ कंट्रीब्यूशन है, ना उनकी कोई ये राय है. थैंक यू.
Can we speak to you on a one-on-one?
Just 1 or 2 minutes.
Sure.
Madam.
Thank you so much. Do we speak?
मनोज
Anup sir?
चलो एक करके
Sir, do you have it?
मनोज चलो पहले ये करो.
Just 1 or 2 minutes.
Senior advocate and former Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi doing a press conference this morning and explaining the details. He says that he has gone through the documents of Department of Justice in details, and he says clearly that the Adanis are not named in connection to count 5, which is obstruction of justice, and also count 1, which is the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. And then he goes on to say that there is some kind of details which are being published in the media which is incorrect in nature. He also says that there is no details on which officials were bribed, and no details on how anyone was bribed either. So, you know, and he also said that this is his individual opinion as a senior counsel of the country, someone who has been reading the documents, because this is a 45-page document of indictment, or alleged indictment, I would say now, after that reading which has been done by Mr. Mukul Rohatgi. He also said, remember, this is also coming at a time when Adani Greens has filed its position in the stock exchange, in which they have said clearly that Gautam Adani and Sagar Adani and Vneet Jain have not been indicted by the Department of Justice. Also, any charge is against Azure, but a company which is listed in the US. It has nothing to do with Adani Group per se and Adani Greens. And then he also says that the charge sheet this is a charge sheet, as you know, essentially this 45 page is a charge sheet. And talking about Indian entities, he also said that it's very clear that the charge sheet is silent about bribery, and there is no allegation or mention of Gautam Adani and Sagar Adani in that charge sheet. Let me go back to Tuhin Sinha. Okay, in fact, Mukul Rohatgi is continuing with his press conference. Let's cut across to it.
Adani company called Adani Green, which is in the business of supplying solar power, was bribing officials, unnamed officials, of certain unnamed power companies, purchasers in India, and the idea was to get lucrative contracts for supply of power. इसके लिए bribe दी गई, किसको दी, कहाँ दी, कितनी दी, ये कुछ नहीं है इसमें अभी. और क्योंकि इसमें अमेरिकन इन्वेस्टर्स हैं, अमेरिका की स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में इसका शेयर लिस्टेड है, इसलिए वहाँ की इन्वेस्टिगेशन ये दिखाती है, ये इनके खिलाफ चार्ज है.
Right. What do the charges specifically, say at this point? What are the charges against Adani's?
It is not specific at all. I told you, अगर मुझे आपको घूस देनी है और आप किसी कंपनी में हो तो मुझे आपका नाम तो देना पड़ेगा. तो ना तो आपका नाम है, ना उसमें पैसा इन्वॉल्व है, ना लिखा है कितना दिया और कौन सा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मिला, कुछ नहीं लिखा है. जनरल है. अब या तो जनरल है या उनके पास और इन्फॉर्मेशन है, वो बाद में दी जाएगी, वो मैं कह नहीं सकता. लेकिन इन कागजों में कोई घूस लेने का नाम, पता, अमाउंट कुछ नहीं.
In which counts are the Adanis named and not named?
Counts 2, 3 and 4, the Adanis are named. Those counts relate to allegations of conspiracy in securities, namely shares which are listed in the US.
Right, and count 1 and 5, sir?
1 and I told you 1 and 5. One is conspiracy to violate the Corruption Act, and count 5 is obstruction of justice.
Right, all right.
उन दोनों में नहीं है.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. So that was former Attorney General of India, Mukul Rohatgi, and senior counsel who specified that in count 1 and 5 of this US indictment of the Adani Group, the Adanis are not named. Neither Mr. Gautam Adani or his nephew are named in these counts, which are counts relating to the violation of the foreign, act of these bribery charges. Or count 5, which is the violation, rather the obstruction of judicial practices. This is what we are understanding at this moment from former Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi. With camera person S.V. Dwivedi, this is Tanushka Datta for NDTV.
All right, Tanushka, thank you so much for getting us that quick chat. Also with former Attorney General Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, senior counsel, saying that he has gone through those 45 pages of indictment, and he says very clearly that there is no direct charge of bribery, no amount which has been mentioned either. And if there is charge, it is against Azure and CPDQ, which are the two companies. Their officials have been named and charged with bribery in the US indictment, Department of Justice indictment. There is no charge essentially of a Foreign Corrupt Practices Act against Gautam Adani and also Sagar Adani. So I think this morning that press conference certainly is setting the tone even as we wait for the Parliament to begin, the session to begin.